Hey everyone, Jack Jostes here. I just finished up the 2021 GIE Expo and Landscapes show. You know, last year we didn't have it because of the pandemic, and it was such a blast to come here. And in today's episode, I'm going to share 3 of my top takeaways about how the industry is adapting to challenges with labor, some of the things that we're seeing in recruiting and retention, and a sales and marketing tip that is really working for some of the people I met at the show.
We weren't getting the leads that I knew we could. We weren't getting the right leads.
What started happening is that our leads are more qualified.
Our sales have probably gone up by about 10 to 15% a year.
We're going to increase our sales volume by $1 million in a year.
Hey everyone, Jack Jostes here from the Landscaper's Guide to Modern Sales and Marketing podcast and Ramblin Jackson, and I'm with our senior landscape marketing strategist, Robert Felton. Right now, we are somewhere in Louisville, Kentucky. We just got out of the GIE Expo and the landscape show with the NALP, and we just wanted to chat about 3 takeaways that we're seeing, trends that we're seeing in the green industry. And this is our first time doing this show together, but we've gone to the Nursery Landscape Expo, Pro Green. Yeah. We went to the Far West show.
Wow, yeah.
And I'm glad that you got to come on this trip, and 2 of our other staff came, Brooke and Kristen, came for the launch of the Tree of Good Fortune, my new book. Check it out at treeofgoodfortune.com. But we wanted to talk about some of the things that we're seeing here, and one of the problems right now is definitely labor, shortage of labor, retaining labor, getting people to apply, and these 3 takeaways all kind of fit into that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's interesting because labor is such an interesting issue, and what I like to talk a lot about is being more efficient, being smarter, playing the game a little bit better. And I mean, that's something that we kind of don't think about. It's always get more people, get more people, get more people. Oh, we got some scooters going around.
We got some guys vaping and scooting around us.
Welcome to Louisville.
Welcome to Louisville. We're right next to Whiskey Row.
Yeah.
And no, it's good. I'm glad we're here.
Well, I think the cool thing is being more efficient, and something that when we started working together, it was always like, oh, the internet's not really for me. I'm all about referrals. It's something I heard over and over again. And the people who are investing in SEO and marketing are getting ahead. They were starting to overtake the big guys who are just kind of, well, fat and happy. And I mean, they're just kind of, that's what I call it. But what I'm kind of seeing is a similar trend with video. It's just, I mean, I'm asking people who are $3 million landscapers, $30 million landscapers, and they're all saying, well, I'm like, hey, are you doing video? And they go, no, but I know I should be doing video. And that's just, I want to talk about how that could be a little more efficient for labor. And I think, I mean, using it in your process, I mean, I don't know, you always talk about how video is flashy and people do that flashy video, but they don't use it in their process to help make it more efficient for their staff or qualifying leads. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, so I think there's people often think of branding videos, and I think they are kind of cool when you have the drone footage and you've got all this gorgeous footage of the lawn care application in slow motion, and people watch it and they think, oh, that was pretty, and you must be professional, but they don't really understand how to buy from you. And the way that we use video with our clients around the Jackson is putting it in the process at key phases. So things that upset customers are when they get surprised by the timeline or the price range. And then you have to then spend a ton of time teaching your client landscaping 101. Here's how much a patio costs. Here's how long it takes. And video, when you're short-staffed, using a video can actually create a lot of leverage for you. And I think of video the same way that one of our clients, Nate Fettig from Alpine Gardens up in Fort Collins, thinks about his machinery and his equipment, is that it doesn't replace people, but it extends the people. It kind of alleviates them.
I want to talk about that a little bit more because, check in on the person who answers your phone. They're probably saying the same thing over and over, and they're tired of it. They're like, they keep asking, can I get an estimate on the phone? Can I get an estimate on the phone? They probably answer that question hundreds of times a week. And a lot of these things can be taken care of with video. Your office manager can be happier. You're not the owner answering the phone. Maybe it's your wife answering the phone right now. I bet she hates answering the same question over and over again, or your partner. So, that extends the life of that client, that employee loving to work at where you are. It also gets you helps you increase your close rate because that person has those questions before. So I think there's just so much value in video, and we think about it in that branding way, but I think thinking about it in your process, saving you time, educating the customer. Imagine if you didn't spend 30 minutes on budget in every call. Instead, you spent 10. That's 20 minutes times how many estimates you do a month, a year.
Right.
Same with your office person. They're spending all this time, and then all these other leads are going to voicemail, educating them about how they can't get an estimate online. Like, send them to a video, educate them, put them through a sales process. People are used to that nowadays. So.
They are, and then the other thing is that it helps you train your employees because and at Ramblin Jackson, we use video to not only train our clients about what we do, but also train our staff. And that brings us to our second point. So the first one was about really the industry, the green industry, I think, is using digital marketing. The websites that we're seeing there. 4 years ago, people were like, I don't need a website, and now they've got them, they're good, and they're looking to those next levels of beyond just generating leads. How can you leverage?
Well, it's the people who are using video they're ahead. So you're playing catch up at this point, and everyone that I know that's using video, and I met some clients here, and they're using video, and they're growing, they're taking employees from other guys. They're doing all the stuff that I like to see, and to get there, to be ahead, to be on the cutting edge, that's kind of what's already here. So, it's the same game as it was 4 years ago. That's where you need to be. So
absolutely, and so one thing that was an issue 4 years ago, it'll probably still be an issue 4 years from now, is labor, right?
Yeah.
Finding people to work, retaining your people, and you and I both ended up at a presentation about recruiting from
the Harvest Group.
The Harvest Group. I love those guys.
Harvester Bill and Ed, I think.
Yeah, they were great. They were awesome. And so they did a great talk, and one of the things they emphasized, maybe even most of their presentation, was about retaining people. And if they were saying, hey, if you have people going out the back door, you don't need to focus on getting people in the front door. You gotta keep them
close the back door
closing
first.
the back
I think
door.
is what they said. I like that.
And so I actually did a Breakfast of Champions mastermind table about recruiting, and in particular how to have an employee appreciation event. And one of the things that I learned from somebody at my mastermind table was that their thing, now it wasn't the only thing, but they started doing a company paintball outing. And they said that,
awesome.
Yeah, it does sound awesome. They're down in South Carolina. That was one of the things, but a key thing that I saw from the companies that had said that they've improved their employee retention was recognition.
Okay.
And so many of them, we interviewed Wade Martin recently. That podcast is coming out.
Yeah.
And Wade Martin, he has culture coins where they give, if you're living the core values of the company, they give you culture coins, and those coins can be used to go out for dinner. You can buy your crew lunch. You can turn them in for real things.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things that I liked. And then I heard several people mention profit sharing, and they've said that the profit sharing helped their staff understand the financials of the company and improve them, and then feel like they were incentivized to do that.
Yeah, I think combining that with the open book, that's something I've heard a lot too, is growing up, it was never like your boss would share the finances with you. And that's something I'm seeing way more common. And it's something that you do. And it's something I really appreciate about Ramblin Jackson. And that open book, you can kind of almost calculate what the profit's going to be, what your bonus is going to be. And that's really an exciting thing. It feels like you're part of that. You know where we're going, the numbers, you're way more into the business. So I think that's such an important recruiting tool. And I think that combined with the open book, and that's something that it just didn't seem common a few years ago. And now it seems like the big guys who are doing good all have that policy and are doing profit sharing. And so I think that's interesting.
Yeah, the profit sharing, and then many of them are also using a software to track their financials, track their job costing, and that's letting their managers and then the other staff understand how much time is it supposed to take, how does it impact the company, and then how does it impact their bonus when things are done inefficiently. I
was talking to a landscaper, this was before the expo, but he was having an issue with profit margins. They were just disappearing. He wasn't doing well, and it was interesting because he did share his numbers, and he started talking with his managers, and all his managers thought they were doing great. and they had no idea that their margins were disappearing. So it kind of was going back and opening the books and, doing that really brought him in. And then the managers were like, oh, we could do this more efficient. Where is this margin going? And if those guys, your most important people, don't know your numbers, how are they supposed to help you reach that goal? So I think that's a really cool takeaway.
My main question for people who were at my mastermind table, because I wrote down a whole notebook full of things that they were doing really well, whether it was some of them were bringing, ice chests full of Gatorade and water to the job site. Some people had a spring comeback party where they gave people boots and,
cool idea.
Especially for your seasonal people who are off during the winter.
Yeah.
Now they're coming back after not making a lot of money, and now they need to buy stuff to work.
Yeah. And a lot of them probably might have found a different job. So it's like, that spring party's coming up.
Yeah.
He's going to take care of me. I'm going to go back to him. Maybe you don't stay at that winter ice cream job or coffee shop or whatever it was. You're going to go back to your employer instead of being like, I don't want to be a landscaper this season. I'll just stay at my winter job. So I think that's really big.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, whether it's the spring party or paintball, do you have photos and videos of this on your careers page, in your job ads? Most job ads start with wanted person to lift 50 pounds in the sun. Must have 3 years of experience doing landscaping, and it's like, well, good luck finding somebody that has that's going to work for the rate most of these people are putting out there. So a big one was looking at Indeed, looking at the job ads in your town and seeing what are people paying. And there's an interview we did with Nate where he had to increase his salary 30% for his current staff and then his new positions, and he got it.
Yeah.
So some of these things are all measurable. One of the things that we realized is, hey, it was fun. We brought 2 of our other ramblers, Brooke and Kristen, on the road, and we went out for dinner with Kristen. I'd actually never met Kristen because we run a remote company, and we had dinner. We had a tomahawk steak.
It was really good steak.
And that was really fun. I'd never done that. And so I got to meet the employees of a bunch of our clients. I met the local Roots team. I saw some of the CoCal people here. And some of these things you can't quite put a number on. Like, what was the value of going on the road with the other ramblers?
Yeah, I don't know. How would you assign a dollar value? Like, I got to meet Brooke, someone I work with all the time. That's really important for me. Start developing that relationship because we got to learn to trust each other. So what is the dollar value to meeting her and getting that trust and whatnot? And then, you can't really put that to it. And I think that's something that's fun that we've been talking about is just what is the value, the ROI of the investment of coming to one of these shows. It's changing. A lot of it's about experiencing something with your team. When I talk to guys, they're like, this is where I take my guys out and we get some whiskey and we have a steak dinner. And that camaraderie, you don't know if that's why they stay longer, 2 more years.
Right.
It could extend the time that employee stays with you. So it's really hard. It's an expensive thing to come to these shows, and why are people coming? A lot of it is unmeasurable. There's not a lot of ROI, and we experienced that too. We've had parties, we've seen clients, there's all kinds of stuff, and assigning a dollar value to that's hard. So it kind of comes down to the feelings and stuff like that, and it's interesting.
Well, it does, yeah. And does it feel like it was worth it or not?
I think it feels like it was worth it.
Well, good. I certainly think so. And it was exciting to learn about Elevate, the NALP's new show. It's going to be in Orlando next year. And I'm excited for that, and I think part of me is disappointed that it's not part of this show in Louisville. And it's also like we saw a lot of people who were lost here, and they thought they were registered for landscapes, but they were registered for GIE, or they were registered for GIE and they couldn't get into landscapes, and they didn't know that. Yeah. So I think with the NALP's new conference next year, I'm looking forward to checking that out.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I was a little hesitant about it. My first time here, I'm like, well, now I gotta go to 2 shows. But then it was like, oh, I could really see how this could be good to have those 2. So we'll see. And
they're going to do their facility tours.
Yeah, I really
which I think
try one of those.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And normally you'd have to go on one of their field trips in the middle of the summer, but now it's all part of their new annual thing. Thanks so much for checking out today's video. If you got value, be sure to click the like button, click subscribe, click the little bell icon so you get notified of upcoming episodes. And if you'd like to take action on some of the ideas you heard in today's video and other podcast episodes, I invite you to join me for my 2nd annual Landscaper Summit. It's a 2-day virtual event.
on November 17th and 18th. And the first day, we're going to have the Stop Losing on Price workshop, where we're going to teach you how to differentiate your landscaping company from your competition so you can charge more and attract the right leads who actually want to buy from you. And the second day is all about automating. You can use some of the things like we talked about today, like using video and automation. And we're going to have a live panel with experts and influencers from the green industry. I recommend that you bring your team, bring your marketing team, bring your leadership team to this 2-day event and focus on your sales and marketing and recruiting. Order your tickets online at landscapersummit.com and hurry, early bird tickets end soon.